What is up, you jabronis? Are you guys as excited as I am for this year's Tasmania Hardline event? Not only is the track awesome, exciting, the location is a place that we don't often get to see top tier downhill events take place. I know the EWS has hit it quite a few times. They got some of the best trails in the world. This track does not disappoint. It is gnarly. It's got that kind of jungle vibe that we love some parts of Australia has. And man, we don't get to see a lot of top tier racing take place in sort of unique different areas outside of Europe. We know that most of the World Cup races happen in Europe, but boy, top tier is the word of the day when talking about Hardline, because the entry list it's better than a World Cup, partly because as opposed to just the normal World Cup regulars, as badass as they are, it goes without saying, we got some really cool entrants from the free ride guys. I actually got the list right here. I'm going to get into it, but we got cool free ride guys. We got none other than Josh Bryceland. Yes, everybody's favorite pikey downhill world champion he won it in 2014, left the sport, broke our hearts. He is coming back to racing. I don't know what level it is, whether it's full commitment or I know the World Cups are kind of difficult to get into right now. So I would imagine currently it's likely to be like Crankworks and Hardline, obviously. And then when he's able to go to the World Cup, but this dude is one of the most talented riders of all time. This is about Hardline, not just Josh Bryceland, but this is the first time, did he race? I think he raced last year's Hardline in Wales. But man, a new season of sort of testing. I'm pretty sure he's still on Cannondale. Hopefully they got a dedicated downhill bike. I believe they do now, which is a whole other news story. It's so cool seeing these brands, Cannondale, Orbea, other ones. Those are the two main ones that come to mind that are, coming out with downhill bikes that just, remind people that yes, this is where the excitement happens. This is where the action is. Yeah, we got Josh Bryceland on a freaking Cannondale downhill bike racing a elite downhill event. Like, pinch me, that is cool. I am stoked for it, but enough babbling. Let's get into the entry list. This is not the full entry list. There's like 60 men and women. Literally, I'm more excited for this than the World Cup because, for example, we got Simon Godziak, I'm pretty sure he's the BMXer, but we're talking about a slope style all-star stud, BMX stud, also rides downhill, Rampage, and now he is racing. He might have done it last year, don't quote me on that, but anytime I get to see him race a bike or just ride, it is cool, so that is awesome. We got a little guy that you might have heard of, Asa Vermette, first time racing a hardline event, one of the sort of phenoms, the prodigy. I'm going to do another video about why downhill is getting taken over by the prodigies, and Asa Vermette is one of them. Now, talking about prodigies, there is nobody that eclipses Jackson, the Jackrabbit Goldstone. He's back. This is his first elite race since the disastrous year last year. We know what happened. It sucked. We were all robbed of him doing his thing. Is he the most talented rider of all time on a downhill bike? Probably. Is he the Jet Lawrence of downhill? Probably. Dude is like 5'7", 135 pounds, and just smokes, the best riders in the world. So he is going to be showing up there. Come on. Jackson Goldstone, first race. Is he just going to go right? This kid is just, it's funny because he's like, plays it cool and is really nice, and you would never think of him as this super competitive dude. Man, make no doubt about it. Jackson is as gritty and as competitive as there is. This dude is a savage. He is coming here to win. He's a gnarly dude. He's just such a nice dude that you wouldn't necessarily know it. So Loic Bruni was rumored to be coming. Now it seems uncertain. We know Loic Bruni is sort of the machine-like assassin. He understands risks. He knows that his priority on Specialized is winning World Cup titles, not hardline events. So don't be surprised if he doesn't show up. The dude knows what he's doing, and that's why he's on his way to becoming the greatest of all time, arguably. So who else do we got? We got G. Atherton. Man, if there's a freaking Terminator in downhill, it's my boy G. Atherton. The dude is just, he's a little off. whether his weird hardline drop where the riders are like, yeah, this isn't going to work. He's like, nah, it'll work. The just ridiculous canyon gap at hardline where he was like, nah, let's get rid of the net. Like, the dude is off and I love him for it. He's clearly just like operating in some different zone of gnarliness. His wild ridgeline rides, and yeah, the dude is just clearly built different. He's going to be there anytime I get to see G. Atherton race. I'm stoked. So let's get into the actual list. We got Ronan Dunn, everybody's favorite Irishman. We got Bernard Kerr, G. Atherton, Connor Fearon, Laurie Greenland. Hopefully he looks better after last year. He had quite a bit of some kind of like sickness or virus, something. Hopefully he's doing better. Chaos Seagrave, very cool. Tawny's brother, Tawny Seagrave's going to be there. She is just, she kicked butt at this event, hitting jumps that 95% of the dudes wouldn't get anywhere near. And I mean dudes like overall. She's a badass. There's Reese Von Leuven, probably my new favorite athlete in the women's downhill division. She is like the Hayden Deegan of mountain biking. I don't know if you guys noticed, last year in Fort William, she got a flat tire and you could hear her audibly screaming down the track, just getting her frustration out, but she's also just the nicest person. So I love Reese Von Leuven. I'm rooting for just every time, period. Nina Hoffman, I already said Tawny Seagrave. Oh, Sam Hill, repping a Foes bike, a longtime American manufacturer, possibly one of the first companies to do a mullet, is totally underappreciated, under the radar. Well, the coolest downhill rider of all time, Sam Hill, is going to be racing there, I assume on a downhill bike, and what a cool combination. It deserves a video all its own to see Sam Hill on Foes. What like a random but awesome combination, because yeah, it's just so cool. They're underappreciated, so that is badass. We got Troy Brosnan, the new dad who just won Mount St. Anne. That's going to be exciting. Kate Edwards, the downhill rider that we lost from the World Cup into the world of freeride. It suits his sort of wiliness better, so that's cool. We got Valley Hall, the best female downhill athlete in the world right now. And it's cool to see when the top tier rider, she's won everything else, and now it's time to turn her attention to Hardline. Let's be honest, she is the overwhelming favorite to win it. She's on the YT, one of the best bikes, just came off a unbelievably dominant season. So she's the favorite, undeniable, end of story. So that is cool to see her there. Who else do we got? Asa Vermette, I already talked about. Goldstone, Chaos, Greenland, Fearon. Interesting, not a lot of the top French downhillers. It's kind of a interesting, surprising turn of events is, based on the list I'm seeing, there's not a single top French downhiller. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. There's other names that I did not include. There's like 60 different names. So no disrespect to the riders I did not include. It's just that was a quick sort of synopsis. But man, it's going to be cool to see Ronan Dunn, after started so hot, was on fire last year, wins the World Cup. And it's interesting when you win that World Cup and finally you've accomplished it. Well, guess what? The pressure is on, because when you win, all of a sudden the expectations are totally different. A second place is a failure. That's just how it works. If you are an athlete, when you win once, all you want to do is win again. And there is an elevated level of pressure that comes along with ticking that sort of World Cup win box. But I'm just stoked to see all the people that are going there. Bernard Kerr, Bryceland in particular. I am so excited. You know, it was such a unfortunate sort of turn of events, seeing him leave the sport after his terrible ankle injury. We've missed him. He was one of the few riders to legitimately beat Gwyn straight up when Gwyn was on Specialized. So he's one of the very best in the world. Silky smooth, kind of has that Greg Menard style. And yeah, Asa Vermette. I would put Asa Vermette, Jackson Goldstone, and Max Allred in that prodigy level category. Dudes that are not transplants from other sports. You know, they did not get in the sport. A lot of people forget that junior racing 10 plus years ago was almost a completely non-event. There was very little sort of focus on it. There was very little team support. And it was just, you know, the sport wasn't as developed. And it's funny because when I started getting into it, the junior category didn't even exist. Well, now these young sort of phenoms are entering a fully mature sport where there's a really well-established feeder system, let alone YouTube and all the knowledge out there. And so these dudes are downhill racers from pretty much toddlers. We're going the way of motocross, good or bad. There is minuses and negatives, but we're going the way of motocross where these dudes are becoming downhill athletes as soon as they're able to. And by the time they hit, 19 years old, they've been riding downhill bikes for like 10 years. So that's where the sport's at. It's the era of prodigies. And I can tell you right now, Asa Vermette, Max Allren, and Jackson Goldstone are going to be winning the majority of the titles for the next 10 years. That's my prediction. Anyways, I'm stoked. There's still like 15 days, but man, the first big downhill event, this is by far the most stacked hardline race. The days of like 10 riders or 15 riders showing up is gone. And what's cool about that is the racing is actually dynamic, right? If you don't have enough racers and you got like one top guy, you know who's going to win. The time gaps are enormous. And a lot of the competitors, and this isn't to discredit them, they're just kind of focused on getting down the hill. So it's cool when you really see this like 40, 50, 60 rider deep field. Is the course is exciting, but the race is going to be as exciting as the course because we're going to be in for, I believe, tighter margins and like, this is legit. This is essentially a World Cup race on a gnarly track, and I am excited. Let me know if you're excited. Who are you looking out for? Sam Hill racing a Bose bike. Are you like, how cool is that? So let me know what you guys think. And man, 15 or so days, let's see these dudes throw down.